Welcome to the e-commerce growth show, brought to you by Segmentify, the fast, lean learning machine, the fastest learning, most revenue-generating personalization platform for e-commerce.
Welcome to the e-commerce growth show. It's another beautiful day from a slightly less locked down south of Bristol. And just one thing I happened to do recently. It's a little bit late to the party, I know, but I had my first remote sort of Zoom call with a bunch of friends last night. And I must admit, it's a pretty stressful ordeal. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but I had neck strain at the end of it. And I think it's a bit of an art form, understanding how to actually communicate with people when there's like 5 or 6 on the Zoom. And I just found myself like spending more time trying to think about when I could say something than actually enjoying it. So I think the only consolation was a large glass of red wine, which went down pretty well and sort of just made me chill out a bit more, and it was all good. Anyway, as you know, this show is all about helping e-commerce retailers to grow through thought leadership. But also, as you know from previous episodes, I've had the honor of being able to use the channel to support those guys who have fallen victim to COVID and have either been out of work or have come into the country at just the wrong time, clearly, in terms of what's been going on, or consultants and other entrepreneurs and so on that have are basically looking for work. So on that latter note, I'm really excited to introduce to you another international guest. Is a lady called Sam Mazzoni. And Sam is actually Brazilian. She's from Sao Paulo originally. And so she's our second international guest, which is great. And so she is a marketing and branding consultant. As I mentioned, she arrived in London about a month ago now. And so she says her English is not very good, but I don't think so. I think it's pretty good, but we'll have to find out. She is an expert in innovation, creative insights, and omni-channel experiences for enterprise brands in Sao Paulo. And she's been accruing that experience over more than 8 years now. So this is a fantastic opportunity to hear all about what experience that she's accrued over that time. Welcome, Sam.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me here.
Not at all. Not at all. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, good. And you've got a warm day over there in what's it, Lime something, where you live again?
Limehouse. Yeah, I'm living
Limehouse.
in
Yeah.
Limehouse in
Near, you say it
London.
was near Tower Hamlets or something, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like 15 minutes walk.
Oh, fantastic. And is it
Yeah,
nice and sort of warm there? And have you got a view from wherever you are right now?
yeah, I do for the channel. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it is.
That's
It's a
nice.
great view. Yeah, I love it
Yeah,
here.
awesome. And did you get a chance to sort of go to a local park, or do you have a garden or balcony or something?
I do have a balcony, so yeah, I was missing
Yeah.
the sun like a lot since I arrived
Yeah,
from
I bet.
Brazil. I was not used to this anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's
Well,
helping me.
no, absolutely. It is, isn't it? I mean, the one thing that we've got helping us right now is some decent weather. Because
Yeah,
imagine
it
if you were
is.
stuck indoors and it was like torrential
Yeah,
rain, like it normally is every day, right? Over here.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh well. So just to sort of break the ice a little bit, you mentioned to me earlier that you did your masters in London back in 2015. But why don't you tell the guys the backstory as to what brought you back to London?
Yeah, sure. I first came
Mhm.
to London to do my master's in entrepreneurship and innovation management at Loughborough University.
Mhm.
And because I want to get a little bit deeper into innovation and business new ideas after working as senior marketing innovation manager at Grupo Affitti, a
Mhm.
multi-brand franchising group in São Paulo.
Wow.
So after my studies, my master was 1 year. After my study, I returned to Brazil to work there
Sure.
for a couple of years. And this
Yeah.
year, like in the beginning of this year, I came
Yeah.
back to join my husband. He
Yeah.
was living here and to work.
Ah, I see. So what does your husband do then?
He's a creative. He works with creating advertisement.
Fantastic. Your husband then has been in London for a while, and you've been
Yeah,
in Sao Paulo, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's living here for more than 5 years now,
Yeah,
and yeah, we did a little bit of long distance dating.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was going to say, how long has that been? How many years was that for then?
almost 4 years.
Wow, amazing. It's funny
Yeah,
actually because I had that as well.
really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did. I lived in London for many years, and
Mhm.
my now other half, she lived in Bath, and
Okay.
I met her one weekend, and we, obviously, decided to try and give it a go. And then I was in London for the next 4 years before I could get to relocate back to Bath because she didn't really want to move, and I don't blame her because I was born in Bath and quite like it. And so it took 4 years actually for me to get the ability to relocate back. So I know exactly what that's like. It's not easy, is it?
It's not, no, especially if it's like 12 hours flight.
Oh yeah,
It's- yeah,
completely.
but it's
Yeah.
it's it's a great like
Mm.
it's great for your to be sure, of
Yeah,
your
completely,
yeah.
completely. No, you're right. I mean, we were the same. I mean, to be honest, it was pretty close, touch and go with us for quite a while because it was very difficult to handle. But eventually, when the relocation opportunity came, it kind of all came together, and then the rest is history. We've been married for 11 years now, and two
Oh,
kids, and all that
nice,
stuff. Yeah,
congrats.
thanks, man. But you're not. Are you married yet and stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you live with your husband, right? Yeah, great.
yeah.
And how long have you been
We
married for?
we 6 months.
Cool. Honeymoon period, right?
Yeah, I just got married and coronavirus arrived like
Oh yeah.
something. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, absolute nightmare. But listen, I mean, I know the guys listening will want to rally behind you, and we're trying to help as much as we possibly can to find you, all of our contacts and share them with you because I'm sure we're going to hear some great stuff from you.
Thank
Um,
you.
Amazing. So, as part of the overarching theme for the chat, you've chosen to speak about omni-channel, which is great. We in England here, experts here will, or e-commerce guys that are listening now will know obviously what omni-channel kind of means in their minds. Even Segmentify has a very sort of broad understanding of what we would call omni-channel personalization, for example,
Hmm.
and having had some exciting opportunities to genuinely work in every channel and what that means. But obviously, you've had a lot of experience working in Sao Paulo for a number of years for enterprise level brands, like you mentioned, Grupo Fici, and if anyone doesn't know, the kind of big footwear brand in Brazil. I think what's it called? Art Walk.
Art walk, yeah.
Yeah, Art Walk. So tell us, what is your take on omni-channel in general?
Well, I always love this kind of omni-channel idea. As you know, a
Yeah,
lot of brands have a multi-channel system
sure.
because in the system, all channels that the brands work with are available to the clients, but they are not themselves integrated. So, what I always study and what it was seen worldwide is that
Hmm.
do a multi-channel is not working anymore
Yeah.
for your customers. So when I was working in Grupo Affici, we needed to
Hmm.
introduce to the mass the streetwear culture in Brazil.
Right.
Brazilian people always love sneakers, but
Yeah.
the sneakerhead culture, the sneaker freaks, was a very niche thing in my country back in 2012 when I
Sure.
was working for them.
Yeah.
Um, we have to show to all the customers that we have the authority in the matter
Hmm.
to so they could realize the real value
Hmm.
in the sneakers so they can
Sure.
trust us as well.
Yeah.
To do that, we needed to show we know everything about the streetwear, the
Hmm.
shapes of sneakers, everything.
Yeah.
So everybody on our team, from sales to digital marketing,
Hmm.
should know every history, every story, everything
Hmm.
behind each
Hmm.
sneaker shape.
Yeah.
Uh, it
That's
was
cool.
a yeah, it was very important to have an integrated communication and speak in all
Mm.
channels the
Mm.
same thing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
as a result of that, we would improve our analytics. Sorry, once we could have a 360 degrees of all customers' touch points and not being specific to only one channel.
Yeah.
We trained our sales team to do so. So
Sure.
in the beginning, we told the stories of each shape in the e-commerce products description on Instagram, Facebook, and all other types of media that we work with. We thought
Wow.
the sales team with web seminars about streetwear. I also conducted
Yeah.
a new shopping experience to the customers through an innovative project. There was an omni-channel tool called iFit. That was like a virtual shelves in the store, in the middle of
Hmm.
the real shelves, to be only
Yeah.
one thing, where the clients and the sales team could have access to all the products and the information about them. Even if they were not on
Mm.
sale in the store, they could be on another store in e-commerce. So all the
Hmm.
information will be equal. The brand and the sale team, they
Yeah.
needed to
Mm.
be the authority on this subject, because when you are
Yeah.
the authority, people can trust you, and that was what we wanted to, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what? That is absolutely spot on. I completely agree with you. Um, that authority piece, and that goes across every walk of life for me. I'm in sales, I'm in partnerships, I'm in software, at Segmentify. In life, how can you take control of anything if you haven't done the work, the graft to get to the point where you know about it, and don't just know about it, but you are an expert in it, you are an authority in it, and you're
Yeah,
passionate
that's
about
true.
that. So absolutely, for you to be able to drive a niche into a market from a brand that's completely unknown, I love the fact that it was the whole team, the whole company was passionate about, or you drove that passion to get everybody behind what you were trying to do is so critical. And I actually, I honestly, I think that's so important. I'd almost put it number one in terms of any business and any vision that you're trying to do, to try and realize. Um, and that's a cultural thing, isn't it? So
Yes.
did you instigate that then, or did you were you part of a team that sort of made that happen?
Yeah, I was. And I was so deep into that. Like,
Mm.
I truly believe in what I
Yeah.
was working with. And
Uh-huh.
I start to love sneakers.
Yeah.
In my first year, if
Good
you
job.
believe me, yeah, believe me or not, I spent like, I bought in less than a year, 40 pairs of like sneaker shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. One
Yeah,
for
they are
every
all in
one
Brazil
for every
because I
half an
couldn't.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Uh,
great. You're completely
yeah.
right about everything that you just said. I completely
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So, and just very interesting about that iFeed thing. What exactly was that?
It was a, imagine like a big uh,
Yeah.
touch screen that
Yeah.
looks just like a shelf. It was
Yeah.
exactly the same
I see.
visual
Yeah.
idea, of the
Yeah.
shelves that we
Yeah.
had in the Artwalk and Authentic Fit
Sure.
stores, and
Uh-huh.
people could like touch the sneakers that was
Yeah.
appearing there, or look for one
Yeah.
by the name or by the shape or
Sure.
color. It was
Yeah.
just like an e-commerce, but
I see what you mean. Yeah.
in this
But it was
shelves.
more compact.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
of
makes
course.
sense. And did that get used a lot then? There was like one place where everyone went to find out information, or was there loads of them everywhere, or like in each store, or what?
Each store had
Oh,
one.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Because I suppose we should probably explain. People probably know, have picked up more than I would have, that you're talking about stores and online, right? Quite a big operation in terms of, I mean, how many stores did Gruppo Uffizi kind of have altogether?
More than 2,000.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in whole Brazil, like the whole
In
country.
Brazil.
In
And
Brazil.
only in Brazil, is it?
Only in Brazil. Yeah.
Wow, that is a massive number.
It is. It's
I
one
bet
of the
it's a
biggest retailers,
yeah.
sneakers, streetwear retailers in Brazil.
Is it
They
one
are
of the
like,
biggest ones in the world? Like,
sorry?
it must be one of the biggest ones in the world, right? 2,000, or is that just are they the ones with tens of thousands? I don't even know. I suppose
I don't think it's the biggest one. It's like
no.
Foot Locker, but in Brazil, because in Brazil we don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
Foot Locker.
yeah, yeah,
It's just the same kind
yeah.
of idea.
Makes
It's
sense.
the big, yeah, because Foot
Yeah, and
Locker, I think, is worldwide. They are
yeah,
not
no, makes
yet,
sense. Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I think someday.
Yeah, yeah. You were telling me about a lady there actually, so it sounds like there's some amazing stuff going on. But that's another podcast away, right? We'll leave that one till another
Yeah,
time.
sure.
But no, so it's interesting. So and just very quickly, does the business do the majority of its revenue through the offline channel, or is it a healthy mix between online and offline? What does it look like?
Nowadays, it's a half a mix, especially due
Yeah,
to Corona, all the
yeah.
coronavirus,
Sure, of course now.
always,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
healthy mix.
yeah.
People
So it's
start
50-50.
to buy like a lot of sneakers and
Yeah,
streetwear
yeah,
online.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Sure.
amazing. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, okay. So, I mean, just following on from the fact that this is kind of bricks and mortar and online, but actually, this is also a franchise model, right?
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic. Okay, so you've had a lot of experience within that specific type of model, a franchise retail model. So, what's your experience of e-commerce within that sort of setup?
Um, well, both of the franchises that I work with, it was
Hmm.
Grupo Affici and the other one was Canal, that is a fashion
Yeah.
retail store
Okay.
brand. Both of them were implementing the e-commerce and the omni-channel too in their stores.
Sure.
So in the beginning, the franchisees were apprehensive about the virtual store because they might thought that this make them lose some sales and was not good for them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my job was to show them that every brand needed an e-commerce now more
Yeah.
than ever
Yeah.
because in this lockdown that we are living in, and
Yeah.
that's a new channel where people know the brand, that what you sell, where they can find you, especially for Group Affici. They have
Hmm.
more than 2,000 stores,
Mm.
so
Mm.
people need to know where you are, you know,
Yeah.
even in like physical stores.
Yeah.
um, that will also enhances your Google ranking positions. And due to the omni-channel tool, if a client doesn't find what they want, the salesperson could order it online for them, so they won't lose, let's say like that, the sale
Mhm.
and the client.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
That
will,
makes sense.
yeah, the store would get like the customer loyalty and the
Hmm.
share of the sales. Not, but of course
Hmm.
in this kind of franchises that I work with is not
Hmm.
all of them.
Hmm.
So it's a good thing, it would be a good thing for them, and it would improve the client's experience and the brand value.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes complete sense, doesn't it? That you can effectively still fulfill the order effectively from the shop
Yeah.
when you've got the access to the e-commerce platform that's clearly got stock control over all the stores or whatever it is that if you've got central, or would you even fulfill from a different store if they were like a mini warehouse, or did you have one central massive warehouse that they could pull overflow stock from?
Yeah, they have like this both
Yeah,
kind
both.
of,
Yeah,
yeah,
scenario.
both.
Both scenarios. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
both
You
scenarios.
mentioned,
Yeah,
yeah, you mentioned something about Google ranking positions. What is that relating to? So you
because if
mentioned
you
that.
more,
Sorry, go on.
sorry, no, go
No, I was just repeating myself. Sorry, you carry on.
ahead. Yeah. Uh, if you are online and people are
Yeah.
talking about you, your Google ranking will be like level up, and it will be easier to find you on Google. So if someone just look for, like, say in this Grupo Affici example, for Air Force Nike sneaker, they
Hmm.
will be one of the first websites to appear on the
Hmm.
Google positions,
Yeah,
without paying anything for
I
that.
was going to say, but
So
why is that
yeah,
happening? Why is I'm just being this is me being like not an expert in this field. So what exactly is going on that's enhancing the Google rank?
um, just the fact Google knows when you are important in this kind of,
Yeah,
I don't know how to say in this in English. Sorry about that,
no,
but
that's okay.
like I'm not an expert as well. of this
Sure.
Google ranking names,
Sure.
but
Sure.
Google knows when you are important, so they just
Mhm.
level you up. And if you are
Yeah.
like a true brand and this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think I get it. I mean, what you're saying is that these franchisees, these people that you're effectively giving them an online presence for, and then all of a sudden, there's loads of inquiries going through Google for stuff that Gruppo Uffici can offer to the pub to the buyers, and they're probably going online quite a lot to check stuff, check stock availability, or get it from somewhere else, or all sorts of. So that traffic's being generated by that is then obviously the volume of that, because you've got so many stores, then increases
Yeah.
the ranking effectively. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that.
Yeah. And
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
when more you talk about it, when more information you have in
Hmm.
e-commerce or any media
Hmm.
that you have, like
Yeah.
related to your brand, will
Hmm.
increase your Google ranking. So it will be a great
Yeah,
opportunity to your
no,
brand.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Absolutely. So they obviously, after the fact that you told them all about this, they became excited to do it, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for
Yeah.
with the iFate idea of Omni-Channel too. They were very excited about that.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So just go into, you mentioned streetwear um,
Yeah.
in this. So just out of curiosity, really, is there any differences? Obviously, you've been in London for a while as well before, and obviously spent many years in Brazil. Is there any differences between like what streetwear means and what the streetwear market is between Brazil and here?
Not anymore. The
Okay,
Brazilian streetwear market is having like the moment right now. In the
okay,
past, we had some because we were not that good because in the past
mhm,
the sneaker culture was dominated by acetation in Brazil. When was more expensive model, people wanted more like Nike Shocks.
okay,
Nowadays, kids
yeah,
and people like the customers take more in consideration the story and the style behind the sneaker, so they are
wow,
getting
yeah,
the sneaker culture more enhanced.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
all
that's really
things that
interesting.
are, yeah, it is, it's like, and I could the more amazing thing that is that I work before and after this whole movement, and I can
Yeah,
see the difference nowadays.
yeah,
And
absolutely. I'm going to be really not. I'm going to be really ignorant now. I think because people are going to just hit me. I think, but I actually don't know what ostentation is.
oh,
Yeah,
how can I
sorry,
say?
sorry. I'm going to look it up
Sorry.
right now while we're talking. Right?
No, it's like when you want to show off, when you
Yeah.
what you got, even if you don't
Ah,
have it,
right.
you know,
Yeah, I see.
like
I see.
posh. It's like
Yeah,
when you say posh here, yeah,
yeah,
kind of that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
you're saying though, like, so I'm just looking at right. So ostentation is pretentious. It's kind of boasting. So is it pretending that you're something that you're not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And
That's
was
why
it?
they only like the more expensive models. They were
I
not
see.
interested in the shape or
Uh,
in the story, or
oh, I
if it was
see.
good
Yeah.
for you, like your
Yeah.
kind of walk. No, they
Fitness or
they
whatever.
didn't care about that, you
Yeah.
know?
No, that's interesting. I mean, I've had a couple of chats now with a couple of people on this series, and I know we all know this, but what you're saying there again is just reiterating this importance of having a story to tell behind your brand.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to this guy Jimmy from Findlay Hats in Portland, Oregon, and he built his business from absolutely nothing to seven figures, and not the only thing, but one of the main reasons was the story behind the product. The fact that you're out doing you're doing your kayaking, or you're going down the rapids, and you're a bit of a rebel, like a lot of these kind of extreme sport guys are, that go down on a snowboard without a helmet on, or whatever it might be, right?
Nice.
And they had their hats on, their caps on, but the caps weren't fitting around their. Sorry, the caps were falling off, and they were losing them.
Mm-hmm.
So of
Mm.
course, Jimmy makes a cap with a chin strap.
Oh,
And then all of a sudden, there's a story about a whole brand new idea around hats. And all of a
that's
sudden,
nice.
yeah, millions are being sold across the world. And actually, I'll hasten to add that he is going to send me one. He's going to
Oh,
send me one. Yeah, he's
nice.
going to send me a limited edition black dad
Uh,
hat, they call it. And so I'm going to be super chuffed to put that on, take a photograph, and send to him.
yeah, amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why it's so important, the storytelling behind like your
yeah,
brand, everything that you
yeah,
sell. It's
yeah, yeah.
and
But
now
it's so interesting, isn't it? Like now the youngsters, well, I say the youngsters because I'm old, but like the younger generations, do you think that they get a story more than before, or do you think it's always been like that?
I think more than before,
Yeah,
because we are changing the way that we consume.
yeah,
I think like in the past, let's say
yeah.
my, I don't know, 20, a little more, 20 years ago,
Hmm.
we were worried about everything should be equal and we should like factors and this kind of stuff, and the
Hmm.
mass to the mass. And
Hmm.
nowadays, I think people want things more personalized, more they can
Yeah,
identify themselves
yeah,
with.
yeah,
So that's
definitely.
why it's so important, the story behind it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not,
No, I think you're right.
you know.
You know, like the whole insurgence of influencer marketing, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all this stuff. I think like the expectation now that I think that people, I mean, I don't know fully because I'm 46, right? I mean, I'm an old man. I don't use any of it, any of this stuff. I mean, I still use Facebook, but only to, you know, get hold of three people to have to have some kind of beer with or something like that. But I can see how people are completely like consumed now by um, stories, information, image. They're just staring at these like picture after picture after picture, or video after video after video.
Yeah,
And like all of that is stories. It's stories about your mates. It's stories about makeup, or stories about how you look, or stories about the best suit. Or do you know what I mean? It kind of started almost with, I could see the beginning of it with Pinterest, and
yeah, that's true.
I looked at Pinterest. I was like, that's boring. I don't want to do that. And I think I've used it twice. Once I used it to change my style a little bit, because I've always been a bit boring like that when I was wearing clothes, wearing my clothes. And then I started looking at, I wonder if there's better combinations of clothes that you can put together that make you look a bit cooler. And I did some research on Pinterest. And it was brilliant.
Yeah,
I
it
was like,
is.
wow, yeah, it was really amazing. So I don't do it a lot, but when there was a need like that, I obviously understood it. But that's a story in itself. So then you got a
Yeah.
whole generation growing up around these stories in all areas of their life, and it becomes normal. So I can kind of understand why now a story would resonate even more with people than it might have done. Say, for example, when I was growing up and I was in my teenage years, I wouldn't be looking for a story. It would be functional, practical, and it would be cost based. And
Yeah.
I would get something that was cheap. I didn't care what stories behind it. If I got it cheaper down the road, I get it. But I think things are different now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. As you said,
Mm.
TikTok, for instance, like
Yeah,
everyone's is doing the same day dance, the same, I don't know,
yeah,
picture, kind of photo, but
yeah,
it is unique somehow because it's with them. They themselves
yeah,
are doing that, you know?
yeah,
They
yeah.
are doing
Exactly.
for their friends, then they are
Yeah,
trying to change it. So it's kind of unique and they want the same
mm,
thing of your brand, you
mm,
know? They want a
absolutely.
unique thing with them and you unique relationship, a unique story
Yeah.
behind it.
Mm, mm, absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, I mean, you mentioned about obviously we know how important e-commerce is anyway, and
Yeah.
what's been happening since the lockdown, but even more importantly now during lockdown. I mean, do you think? I know I've asked this question before, but it's great to get your view on it as well. What do you think is going to be the near term, the medium, stroke long term effects of um, on physical stores? Do you think in terms of the lockdown?
Just like you said, it is the moment for virtual shopping right now. I agree with you. And
Yeah,
I think even a recession that we are finding ourselves,
sure.
it's better to sell less than sell
Mhm.
nothing at all. So that's why
Yeah,
it's so important to get
yeah,
like an
yeah,
e-commerce, a virtual shopping to have your brand online.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Especially for
No,
local
absolutely.
and small producers companies, so they could
Yeah,
get like a piece of
yeah,
share of this. um
yeah. No,
so I,
absolutely. I mean, there is. We are seeing a massive shift, aren't we, in terms of, have you seen the share price of Shopify recently? I
Yeah,
mean, it's gone ballistic, right?
yeah. But I to about the physical stores, I think they will always be present. But the
Yeah.
importance of virtual stores and the integration between them will be greater than ever. That's why I think like omni-channel is going to be, and it is
Mm,
actually very
mm,
important.
yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Were you talking about a virtual store linked to the retail store, if you like?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how whether that happens over here or not in that sense.
Um,
Is it already like quite advanced over here as well? Like you go into bricks and mortar and you can do the kind of stuff you were talking about with the virtual store in Gruppo Uffici, or is that something that's kind of almost unique over there, which is potentially of interest
I think
for the industry over here?
sorry. Yeah, I think it is. And
Yeah,
for instance, Mango Store, the fashion retail brand, they use
yeah,
it, but it's not like
okay.
the client that is going to order something if they don't find it. It's
Yeah,
the sales team that is going to order for you.
yeah,
So it's kind
yes,
of they are
yeah. The service,
they are
like,
beginning with, yeah.
mm, yeah.
Adidas as well. The Adidas, if I yeah, if
Hmm.
I'm not wrong, they do that
Yeah.
as well
Do they what
here
in their
in
stores,
this
or
in their stores. Yeah,
is that you talking
they
about in
they have
Brazil or
like,
in England?
no, in England here.
In England. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even know. So Adidas have their own stores, do they?
yeah, they do.
Okay, that's just me being completely, nuts because I don't
Yeah,
shop.
yeah, they have. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think they are,
Yeah.
at least in Brazil, they are franchising as well. Because I
Yeah.
know
All right.
Nike is like,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
of stores are from
Yeah.
franchisees.
Mm. That is an interesting strategy that you've clearly made work in Brazil, and
Yeah,
it sounds like it's something for consideration in this country for sure, particularly for those brands that are still, you know, well, not relevant's the wrong word, but like are still going to survive, shall we say, right? In the future of what offline retail looks like,
yeah,
because it is a struggle, isn't it? I mean, because so many people are now moving to online and life is so busy, you know, and I don't know how many people are still going to want to go and browse and buy physical items in shops in the future. I don't know whether it'll still survive. Do you think it will?
I think it will, but
Yeah,
not as we are used to. I think
yeah,
it's going to change a little bit the way we relate to clients.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
some
yeah,
stuff that you buy online, um,
yeah,
are hard to buy online. For instance, I had to buy
yeah,
a pillow these days, and it was
mm.
like so freaking hard to buy a pillow without like touching it, and you had no idea about the softness, the height, and this kind of stuff. So I think some kind
yeah,
of stores will have to, and some people like it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. I think you're right. It's just gonna retailers are gonna have to be savvy and really understand
the
their
clients.
niche.
Yeah,
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 their client
that's
and
true.
their niche. Like, so if you're selling something that's commoditized, clearly, you're not gonna go offline. But if you're, you know, like I'm thinking about things like Clark's. I can't see Clark's completely going online because school kids will need to get their shoes fitted properly. They'll need to be measured and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So I imagine businesses like that, although I don't think they're doing that well, actually, it would be um, they couldn't just do that online because so much of their business comes from that side of things. But yeah, it's a struggle for sure because I mean, a lot of it is just it's the overheads, isn't it? It's like the tight margins and massive overheads with actual physical buildings in pricey high street areas and stuff.
yeah. That's the main problem.
Yeah.
And that's why like an omni channel is so good for people that are trying to move to
Mm.
the online,
Yeah.
because they could have like a smaller store
Yeah.
with a smaller stock in
Hmm.
there, and have like an outside stock that could bring everything that your client needs,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
like central distribution hub, if you
Yeah,
like.
central. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's these massive e-commerce logistics companies, that buy up massive warehouses, and a bit like Amazon fulfillment, or
Yeah,
fulfilled by Amazon, isn't it? But in different areas of the
proportion.
country.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
different proportion as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah. So just in terms of like the pandemic at the moment, how have you seen any? Have you got any thoughts on how that's going to change the way we buy things? What's your kind of bet, if you like, for e-commerce going forward?
I think that people that were not used to buying online now had to. So
Yeah.
the e-commerce gained like a lot of new customers.
Hmm.
And as I said, it's going to be more essential than ever to be
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
So shop streaming for me would be like the combination of e-commerce with
Mm.
how we buy things in stores,
Yeah.
and it's going to change the buy online.
Yeah.
Once it
Yeah.
brings the real connection and the real feeling of
Yeah.
the digital to the digital space, so the
Mm.
client can like have a more true perspective of the product of
Hmm.
your brand
Yeah.
in general, will be
Yeah.
like, especially for products that are harder to buy online, like I said,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pillowcase.
Pillows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, for
So I
sure.
think, yeah, I think like shop streaming where people are showing like live
Mm. Yeah.
how your product is, how they work,
Yeah.
just like we
Yeah.
we have like 20
Yeah.
years ago with that commercials and that channels of that sell you stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be like
Yeah.
your channel online.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that actually years and years ago, walking around, you know, say like back in the day, there's this chain called Comet, and
Okay.
there would be various television programs around the place, kind of doing demos of a Hoover or
Yeah.
demos of the age old veg cutter. Do you ever see that? Like
No.
so ancient. So somebody would be like, "Oh, this is how you cut your onion."
Oh
If you
yeah, we had that in Brazil.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
if you
just
put
like that.
that's it. If you put 4,000 vegetables into this and press that button, it'll all blow up. And then they show you, and they get covered in tomatoes. It's like, I'm joking. It was actually very good. They're very professional.
Yeah,
Um,
and like
but
even if you don't need it, you're gonna buy it because you are
yeah,
truly believing in that.
yeah,
So
no,
I
absolutely.
think it's gonna
Yeah,
be the future, like this
yeah,
merge.
yeah, and obviously you got my wife did fall victim to the Q5 mop or the X5 mop or whatever it was. So I've got one, and I'm very proud actually because it all got busted up with limescale and stuff. And so I was watching all these videos on YouTube about these amazing electricians go, so now you take everything apart and it's an absolute nightmare, and then you solder this and solder that and put it back together. Do you know what I did? I put
What?
some vinegar. I put some vinegar in the chamber,
In the
right?
forecast.
And I pressed go. I waited for half an hour, and then it nearly blew up. Now it steams like an absolute monster. I've only got like turn it on, and it's like steamed the whole house. So I nailed it. So I should have done a YouTube video of it because it would have made a
Yeah,
lot of
you
people laugh.
should. You
It would
should.
have
You
gone
really.
viral. Yeah. I'll tell you very quickly, right? So being serious a minute, one thing that we did do at Segmentify, which is interesting in terms of you talking about shop streaming, right? Or bringing together that on and offline experience.
Yeah.
We did something quite clever with a very, very large retail brand and a payment gateway. So we effectively, in terms of providing that sort of customer experience across on and offline channels, if you go and buy something and within that token, half an hour after you've
Mhm.
bought it, where the payment gateway is still open, we actually engineered a text message to be sent to that customer's mobile to tell them within half an hour, basically, that there was a discount on another item that we knew from our machine learning that they'd either viewed or abandoned previously, or
Whatever.
something something like an upsell, like an interesting complete the look type thing to that customer. And it increased a 100 million pound business by 1 million a year in extra revenue just by being able to add that text message with some relevant products as you were still browsing around the shop or sat in the coffee house next door within that half an hour period.
That's nice. That's
That's cool, isn't it?
amazing. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
brilliant.
So
Yeah,
just little things like that where, the true, when we say omni-channel, for many years people started saying omni-channel and it was just a buzzword and really
yeah,
they didn't mean anything. But now, when you start talking about stories like that, it is truly the ability to
integrate.
harness
Yeah,
every channel. Yeah, exactly.
that's true.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, go on.
no, just an example of
Yeah.
this shop streaming in
Yeah.
Brazil. I know
Yeah.
that chocolate store, just like
Hmm.
Lindt, they had like a salesperson in the actual store that was
Yeah.
closed,
Yeah.
but they were recording live in their I think it was Instagram, and the clients could like ask questions and buy things right in the live, with a
Yeah.
true salesperson talking with them like directly. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah, I thought it was like the best shop stream that I ever saw because it was true
Yeah.
in the true store,
Mm. Yeah.
that
No,
people
that sounds amazing.
miss to go nowadays.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, absolutely.
yeah,
No, that was a really interesting chat, Sam. Thanks so much for your time. I mean, obviously at the moment, as you mentioned, you've come over a month ago, hit on
yeah,
hard times now because of COVID, and we're being open and honest in here and saying that you're looking for a new challenge, come from enterprise, omni-channel kind of background. So I'd love people to be able to contact you. What is the best way for people to get hold of you?
thanks. On LinkedIn, Samara,
Yeah, yeah,
Samara, Salum, Salum, Mazzoni.
yeah.
Or they can email me at samarasalum
Hmm.
at gmail.com.
Okay, brilliant. So just to check, guys. So it's Samara, so Sam ARA, and then a capital O dot, and then Salum, which is SALUM, and then surname Mazzoni, MAZZONI.
That's right.
Or if you email Samara, SAMARA, Salum, SALUM for mother, at gmail.com. Or obviously, if you find it difficult to find her, then just chuck me an email, phil@segmentify.com, and I'll connect you up. But let's say if you can get behind Sam, you've heard about her experience. If you know of anybody in your network that would be interested in talking to her, then do give her a shout, or as I say, give me a shout, and we can get connected.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
No, absolutely, absolutely fine. I'm just going to finish off by saying to everybody, as I always do, that really appreciate you supporting the channel and supporting, especially at the moment, the people that are looking for work. And if you can share this podcast with everybody you possibly can, just to spread the word for Sam, that would be awesome. If you've got any questions about the podcasts, if you've got any topics that you want me to research and find thought leadership on, or indeed you want to be involved in the show, just as I mentioned earlier, let me know at phil@segmentify.com. And as I say, also, if you do go to the segmentify.com/podcast link, then you'll be able to access Sam's podcast, all the other new podcasts that are coming out, including the one hopefully I'll do with Sam in a few months' time when somebody snapped her up, and any previous ones that we've already done. I think there's about 15 odd on there now, but there'll be another sort of 20 or 30 in the pipeline coming along in the coming months. Then do please sign up, because then we can send you them as soon as they become available, and you won't miss anything. All right. But thanks again so much for listening, guys. Thank you so much, Sam, for your time.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks,
No
everyone.
worries. And we look forward to speaking to you again soon, guys.
Put us to the test and let us prove we can drive more revenue for you. Sign up for a completely free proof of concept or split test against your current provider, set up and optimized by our team within a few days at segmentify.com/demo.